And so we're going to resist flexion of the MTPs, and then we're going to resist extension of the PIP and DIP. And so it's not a super easy test to do. So go ahead and relax your foot for a second. Okay, go ahead and bend your toes over. Okay, so I have my finger on her proximal phalanges across digits 2 through 5. We're gonna pull up and relax. Now, I'm going to go ahead and relax your foot again. We're gonna get you back into that bent position with those toes straight. Now I want you to try to straighten your toes, and I'm not gonna let you. There you go. Okay, and now she's pulling into MTP flexion, and the MTP extension. We don't want MTP extension. Okay, so we're gonna hold you there. Now hold your, try to straighten your toes, and I'm not gonna let you. There you go.
I think so.
And relax, yeah. I decided to put a rusty nail through my hand over the weekend. Nice. Probably the grossest thing I've ever done, because the nail head was actually, you could see it on the side of my hand. And I think I got my FDO. So you have to be gentle with me. I forgot to tell you that. Okay, so. All right. Yes?
How are you isolating that then from the extensor, digitorum, longus?
So I'm not resisting extension at the MTPs. For the extensor, digitorum, longus, and brevis, we'll be resisting that MTP extension, but for the lumbricals and interossei, I'm only resisting extension here.
Okay.
Now, the way the tendons go for the extensor, digitorum, longus, that's going to go into the toes, and so we're going to resist motion of all three of those right now. But for the lumbricals and interossei, we're not resisting extension here. So the way I had my hand positioned the first time, she pulled into MTP extension, so then I changed my hand position to hold her in MTP flexion and really only resist the IP extension.
Okay.
To modify what she was doing. Okay? Thank you for the smile. Appreciate it. Okay? So for the extensor, digitorum, longus, and brevis, we were actually just talking about that. So again, I'm going to have the foot in a relaxed position. So I call this a figure 4. This is a pretty comfortable position for patients to be in. Sometimes they may want something under their knee. Otherwise, they'll lean back for tight hamstrings. So I have the ankle in a relaxed amount of plantar flexion. What I want you to do is bring these 4 toes up. Okay, try not to bring this one up if you can. I'm going to just push down here and bring these toes up. Oh, look at you. You are a motor control queen. Okay, ready? I'm going to push those down. And relax. Good. So again, I am mostly resisting MTP extension to try to get that isolation from the lumbricals and interossei, but I'm also going to be resisting some motion at the IP joints for digits 2 through 5. Okay? So that's extensor, digitorum, longus, and brevis.
So that's a group test.
That's the group test, yep. Now, for the next 4, I drew this on the board for you. So if we look at, we've got 4 different muscle groups that do a combination of dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and then inversion and eversion. Okay? If we look at the inverters, they're going to be the tibialis muscles, the anterior and posterior tib. And if we look at the everters, they're going to be the fibularis muscle group, or what I would call the peroneus muscle group. Okay? Now, of those, the muscle that dorsiflexes and inverts is the anterior tibialis. The muscle that dorsiflexes and everts is the fibularis tertius. Okay, so do you see how this table works? So if you remember in the arm, when we were doing extensor carpi ulnaris or extensor carpi radialis longus, and then we did radial, or the flexors and the extensors, I think of this group of 4 muscles in the same way. Okay? So it's really easy to pop out these 4 manual muscle tests really quickly, because it's a matter of just dorsiflexion and everting, then dorsiflexing and inverting, plantar flexing and everting, and then plantar flexing and inverting, or whatever order you want to do them in. So the biggest thing is that you memorize that chart. Okay? So if if I have Emma, I'm gonna have you bring your foot up, and I wanna bring this side of your foot out. There you go. And go ahead and relax. So what muscle would that be? Dorsiflexion and eversion. Right. Okay. Right. So go ahead and bring it up and out again for me. Hold it there. Don't let me pull it down. You can tell how weak that arm is, huh? Okay, now I'm going to have you bring it up, and now bring it in. So what muscle am I testing now? Great. Hold it there. And relax.
So are you just trying to evert her then, or also plantar flexion?
I'm resisting both motions.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to have you, oops, sorry, Emma. Go ahead and write. You're good. Go ahead and point your foot down, and now turn it in. So what muscle am I testing now? Right, posterior tip. And relax. Now plant your foot down and bring it out. Nice. And relax. Good. Okay, so you can get all 4 of those muscle tests done, all with the leg in one position, and you're just moving the foot. Now, if someone couldn't do dorsiflexion and eversion, so if they didn't have full active range of motion in that combined motion, I would go ahead and see if they had full dorsiflexion and then make sure they had full eversion. Okay, so when we talk about gravity eliminated, I would break these 4 motions down into the components because the muscles contribute pretty equally to both motions that they do. Okay, so we've got the tibialis muscles that are going to be everters. We've got the fibularis or the peroneal muscles that are on the outside of the leg that are everters, and then they get split up for the dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion. Okay, so the biggest trick is to remember the motions. The test itself isn't so tricky. Okay,
So if they can't do the dorsiflexion and inversion or whatever it is you said, and you broke it up, how do you grade that then?
so you're always going to grade it for the weakest motion.
Okay, so if you have to split it, do you still do a normal 0 to 5?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, and you would grade it on whatever was the worst.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so soleus is our next one. So I'm gonna have you lie on your stomach for me, please. And then do whatever you can to make your head and neck comfy. Okay, so soleus is a plantar flexor. It's a one joint muscle. So what muscle are we getting out of the equation by flexing the knee? Gastroc. Okay? So we're going to want her to point her toe towards the sky. Do you see how this is against gravity? Right? Okay? So go ahead and come on back down. So for whatever reason, the standardized way of doing this test is to actually hold the calcaneus to try to prevent that plantar flexion. Okay, ready? Emma, go ahead and try to point your toe towards the sky. And relax. Okay? So in theory, that is the soleus test.
Wait, was she pointing to the sky and you pushed down?
So I'm holding the calcaneus here. Can you relax your foot for me? So she's trying to go this way. I'm pushing up on the calcaneus to try to push her back into dorsiflexion.
You're not pushing on the foot at all.
I'm not pushing on the forefoot. I'm pushing up on the calcaneus. Okay? Okay, bye.
Would it make more sense to just try to break them out in this?
Yeah, so this is the standard way that is in Kendall to do it that way. My only guess is for some reason she felt like doing this you were going to recruit too much gastroc, and that somehow doing it this way you're getting more soleus, but I cannot explain that rationale to you.
Have you seen anyone do it the other way? Like just applying pressure on the foot this way?
So for me personally, I very seldom are needing to separate soleus and gastroc, so I'm going to show you the gastroc test next, which is a very functional test, and if they can't plantar flex in weight bearing, then I know I've got a problem. So I don't typically manual muscle test the soleus. Now, Kelsey, you have taught me to never say never. So forever the popliteus strain will stick with me. You certainly can have people who separately hurt the soleus instead of the gastroc. That's far more common than the popliteus. For me, from a functional perspective, that's what I care more about with the soleus, and so that's why I do the test I'm going to show you now. Okay? All right, so I'm going to have you stand up.
That's what we'll talk about.
Sure, if you don't mind, I've rest the floor. I guess your foot is going to be on it otherwise. Do you do soleus differently?
Only if I see weakness, then I would look at it.
Then, okay. Okay, so for this one, this isn't a balance test, so I want you to go ahead and feel comfortable keeping your hands like I said. Hey, this is a great test for you, isn't it? So I'm going to have you stand on just one leg. If you want to stand on your strong leg, that's fine. Okay, and then what I'm going to have you do is, do you see how you're denting the tables? I want to see no dents in the top. This is just for balance. Okay? I'm going to do it with you, but I don't think it's going to be nice for either one of us. So you would do this with shoes off. And what I want you to do is just lift your heel up off the floor without denting this. And can you do 5 of them for me? She's doing a beautiful job of slow and controlled. They can't be fast. And when you're not grading her on her balance. Okay? If she can do 5, she would get a 5. If she can only do 1, she would get a 3. And if she can do 2 to 3, she'd get a 4. Okay? So you're basing the grading on how many she can do. Now, there is a lot of different schemes. This is actually not the Kendall scheme for grading this. This is the Daniels and Worthingham scheme. There are other people who grade this based on 10 being a 5 versus 5 being a 5. And so the best way to document this is to simply say how many the person did. Okay, because there's so much ambiguity. If you choose to use the Daniels and Worthingham, that's absolutely fine. On the exam, if your patient's able to do 3, we will ask you this score. If you choose to document to say 3 heel raises for your grade, I would be absolutely fine with that. Okay, that's all 7 tests.
What are all the muscles, would you say? Just gastroc, soleus, and...
For
For
this
the
test?
test, yeah.
I would say gastroc and soleus.
Just those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
You said would be with shoes or wouldn't?
Without shoes.
Without shoes.
Yeah.
When you're in sideline, are you resisting it like with the calcaneus again, or are you?
No, then I'm doing, so then it's the standard language of you're pushing on a gas pedal.
Can we do that?
Okay, so the reason that Stephanie's asking that is if the person can't do their body weight up once, then you put them in gravity eliminated, which is going to be sideline. Sounds like people want to see that. Okay, go ahead and bend your bottom leg for me. There you go. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do, I'm just going to hold your legs that comfortable. What I want you to do is point your toe to the ground. Great, and come on back up. So she has, go ahead and relax. So she has full range in the gravity eliminated position. So what grade do we know that she has at a minimum? 2. Full range in gravity eliminated is a 2. Okay, go ahead and push down like you're pushing on a gas pedal. Push, 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 push. She can take no resistance.
Is that a
No.
question or a statement?
I'm telling you that she cannot take any
okay.
resistance. What grade would she get?
2.
A 2, because she still has full range in the gravity eliminated position. What if she doesn't have full range, so she can move her foot down a little bit, but not all the way? What grade does she get? 2 minus. What if she has full range and she can really push? Push down on that gas pedal for me. Oh, stop. Okay. That was not 6 seconds. She would get a 2 plus or a 3 minus. If I couldn't see her move her foot at all, go ahead and relax for me. So go ahead and pretend you're going to move your foot, but you can't. I'm going to palpate, right? Go ahead and relax. Okay, now what I want you to do is go ahead and try to push down on that gas pedal again for me. Push, push, push. I don't feel anything. What grade am I going to give her? A 0. If I can palpate something, I'm going to give her a 1. She'll have earned a 1. I don't give. Okay? So make sure you review 2 plus, 2, and 2 minus. Right? So full range of motion in the gravity eliminated position is a 2. You still need to test to see if that person could get a 2 plus or a 3 minus. And that's going to depend on the amount of resistance they can take. But if they have full range in the gravity eliminated, it's at least a 2. If they don't have full range, but they still can move it at least a little bit, that's a 2 minus. If they can't move it at all, but you feel a contraction, that's a 1. If they can't move it and you can't feel a contraction, that's a 0. Okay? So remember, on one of your tests, we're going to make you do something gravity eliminated.
Do we get to choose which one for Enfield?
Oh, Not really, no.
Okay.
If you, no. It'll be similar to what we did for the last one.
Okay.
We're scanning your sheet to see which one is the best one
Okay.
to do that for, or if we've already tested a bunch of people on external obliques, we try to do a different one. Okay, so those are your 7 tests. So we did extensor, digitorum, longus, and brevis. We did the 4 muscles here. We did soleus and prone, and then we did gastroc and standing. Okay, and that's our